pronounce as Darius Foru. So spelling is Forous, but it says Foru is his pronunciation. Is the author of 7 books. He writes about productivity, habits, decision making, and wealth building. His ideas and work have been featured in Time, NBC, Fast Company Inc., Observer, and many more publications. 500k plus people read his blog every month. So, more books by Darius Furooks. Win Your Inner Battles 2016, How to Go from Procrastinate Hero to Procrastinate Zero 2016. Do It Again 2018, The Road to Better Habits 2019. What It Takes to Be Free 2019, Highly Productive Remote Work 2020. So, William James, if you can change your mind, you can change your life. So, here are the contents for this book. You become what you think. These are the different chapters here. Why do we need a book on practical thinking? Use what works. Clear thinking requires training. From chaos to clarity, a very brief history of thinking. Life is not linear. Connect the dots. Filter your thoughts. Stop thinking inside your control versus outside your control. Don't trust your mind. Look at facts. True versus untrue. Take your time to think. No more quick decisions. Release your mind. Draw your thoughts. Be yourself. Not what you should be. Take time to reflect. My money rules. Don't try to think your way out of everything. Be unconventional. Don't ask why. Think about the details even more. Take thinking out of the equation. Don't live with regrets. Never look back. Spend your time well, inner calm, and think beyond yourself. So, then also there's a thank you, a gift, a collection of the most important notes, and then further reading. So, the forward to print edition, Think Straight. As the author says, I finished writing things straight in 2017. Around the same time, I'm writing this new foreword. It's exactly 3 years later. Do you know the feeling of looking back on your life and thinking, wow, high school just seemed like yesterday? Time really flies. We live in a demanding world. Most of us have to deal with the pressure of getting a degree, building a solid career, earning a good living, having a relationship, taking care of kids and family. So the list of demands on us is endless. It's not a surprise that our minds are busy all the time. The problem is not that our minds are busy, the problem is that we are lost in our thoughts. In fact, our thoughts distract us so much that we miss out on our actual lives. So, that was the story of my life for many years. But I can now tell you with 100% honesty and transparency that I no longer live my life that way. Contrary to my previous perception of time, it seems like I published things straight a decade ago, not yesterday. That's how slow time has gone by for me, and I don't mean that negatively. We all know how it feels like sitting in the waiting room of the dentist or doctor for some kind of medical procedure. So during those times, you just want time to go faster so you can get it over with. I'm not talking about that. I've experienced the past 3 years intensely. I've been more productive than ever, having published 3 new books and 179 articles. I fell in and out of love twice. I took many vacations with my family. I've read at least 1 book a week and often even 2. I worked out almost every day that I felt good. I've been nearly doubling my income every year. Life has been good. If there's one thing I can attribute to, it's my ability to think straight under all circumstances. You know what's funny about all of this? I feel that I'm only getting started with this. I'm nowhere near mastery. I'm not even sure such a thing exists when it comes to our thoughts. However, I'm sure that I'm better at controlling my thoughts than last year. Last year, I was a little bit better than the previous year. You see, this is an internal practice. You should only compare yourself to what you were, to who you were in the past. If you feel like you're doing better than a year ago, you're winning. But instead, most of us insist on looking at what others do. In fact, most of us waste our time spying on the lives of others for hours per day. We look at the vacation pictures of our friends and get down because we're sitting at home. We look at reality shows about wealthy people who are famous for being famous. But that's not real life. However, the thoughts you're having feel very real. That's why we often say things like, my thoughts are making me unhappy. So, deep down, we understand that it is our thoughts that influence our happiness. But here's the thing, your thoughts are always there. You're the one who's allowing your thoughts to take away your happiness. So we assume that we need to follow through on our thoughts, but that's not the case. Once you become aware of your thoughts, you will no longer let them dictate your life. The purpose of Think Straight is to change your thoughts on thinking. I know this all sounds weird right now, but I promise it will make sense by the end of this book. Until now, thousands of people from all over the world have emailed me to say how much this little book changed their lives. So, readers have told me the most intimate stories about the impact their thoughts had on their lives. I've learned that we're all the same. You are not alone if you feel unhappy, overwhelmed, or directionless. We all suffer, but you don't have to suffer anymore by your own doing. Once you're open to the idea that you don't have to listen to all of your thoughts, you will start a journey that will change your life. There are not many things in life that have such an impact on the quality of our lives. Think about it. You wake up with your thoughts and go to bed with them. No matter what you do, your thoughts are there to either harm you or to help. If you picked up this book, I'm guessing you want to have thoughts that help you. I can tell you from my personal perspective that it's possible. The last 3 years after I published this book has proven that no matter what happens in my life, I have always remained true to the concepts of Think Straight, and I wouldn't change a thing about the contents of that book, of this book. It's short for one reason, so that you can read it over and over again. So, changing your thoughts doesn't happen overnight. Give yourself enough time to practice what you will read in this book. If there's one thing I could emphasize more, it's that changing your thoughts is a slow journey. Reading this book once might change your state of mind for a few weeks, but what will happen after that? We are forgetful beings. If you find this book valuable, keep coming back to it. Keep reading and practice the ideas until you don't need the book anymore. But don't stop practicing. Controlling your thoughts is just like breathing, drinking, eating, bathing, etc. So, just like you nurture your body, nurture your mind, in this book you will learn how to do that. I wish you all the best on this journey. Hopefully, it will be a slow one, and I hope you will enjoy every minute of it. You become what you think. So, in 1869, a 27-year-old man who just graduated as a doctor of medicine from Harvard was going through a crisis of meaning. This is not the first time he dealt with adversity. Throughout his 6 years in medical school, his education was interrupted by different illnesses and bouts of depression. But this time it was worse. He even contemplated suicide for months. The man's name was William James, who later became the leading psychologist in America and one of the founders of the philosophical school of pragmatism. It took James 3 years to overcome depression, something he did by himself. To be clear, James wasn't just feeling down. John McDermott, editor of the writings of William James, wrote about the severity of his mental state. James spent a good part of his life rationalizing his decision not to commit suicide. During this time, James also had panic attacks and hallucinations. This wasn't new to him. His father faced the same agonizing things years before him. This fate made James believe that his condition was biological and therefore something he couldn't overcome. But in 1870, James made a psychological breakthrough after reading an essay by Charles Renouvier, a French philosopher. In his journal, he wrote, I think that yesterday was a crisis in my life. I finished the first part of Renouvilier's second essays and see no reason why his definition of free will, the sustaining of a thought because I choose to when I might have had other thoughts, needs to be the definition of an illusion. At any rate, I will assume for the present until next year that it is no illusion. My first act of free will shall will shall be to believe in free will. This realization is at the core of pragmatism, the school of philosophy that James and Charles Sanders Peirce founded years later. James realized we have the ability to choose one thought over the other. In other words, we can control what we think. However, James doesn't say we can control our consciousness. When we sit down and observe our thoughts for a few minutes, we will notice that a lot of things flow through our mind. The thoughts are just there, nothing we can change about that. But since we have free will, we can decide which thoughts we focus on. Hence, we can influence the direction of consciousness. This realization is crucial to the way we live. It's a difference between I can't help but feel this way and I feel this way because I decided to feel this way. So the emphasis is on deciding, and that's what this book is about. With practice, you can get better at controlling your thoughts. So you can decide what you think. And with better control over your thoughts, we can improve the quality of our lives and the outcome of our careers. That's my proposition in this book. You have the ability to decide what you think. And since the result of your life depends on your thoughts, I think it's the most important thing in life. When we improve the way we think, nothing is impossible to achieve. A simple rebellion changes everything. Many great thinkers have written about the importance of thoughts, but William James Godfather, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who also inspired James a great deal, put it most simply, you become what you think about all day long. I believe that's true. But we must realize that actions follow thoughts. So that means you can't change your actions without changing your thoughts. Let's start.